Do you need an MBA to start a successful business? Is it impossible for artists to start businesses outside of art? Am I going to be in this video all by myself again? No, no, and no. Hey there, I'm Stephanie Menji, and today we're going to meet Kiki Valdes. He's a Miami-based contemporary artist who has fearlessly juggled art and entrepreneurship from a young age. You can find his work in various art collections, and he was recently featured in a new documentary called MIAMI BASEL, Art's Winter Playground, which premiered at the Miami International Film Festival. We're going to learn how he's reached wide audiences with his art and business, how he's found inspiration in fields outside of art, and how he's persevered through his challenges in order to achieve his goals. If you're excited to see more videos like this one, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, enjoy the interview. Thanks for having us, Kiki.
No problem. Welcome to the studio.
It's pretty awesome, actually.
Thanks. It's a little cozy, but...
You know, for a really long time, I've been following your art, and I happen to be following your company without even knowing. And when I saw that you are the co-founder of Abuela Mommy, which is a coffee company and a subscription box company with Cuban goodies, I actually got really excited to see that it was an artist-owned business.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your art career and how you've transitioned into becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, the art was just always a part of my life. From an early age, I showed an interest in art, and my mom always was into that. My mom comes from like a fashion background, so she really supported, you know, I wanted to do it, and she would take me to the museums and stuff because I told her, like, I want to go to the museum. And from there, just from the beginning, I just went through all the channels, the art school, art college, all that, selling the art on my own, things like that. And then as far as like, you know, companies, I've always been involved in things, not just painting. When I was younger, I had a magazine with my brother. It was called Openzine. It was like a punk, hardcore magazine with graffiti. So I used to like get graffiti photos from all the Miami like graffiti artists, like the Inkheads, MSG. And I did that for a while. And to put out our first issue, I used to sell, you know, we used to sell candy in school when I was in middle school so we can, you know, finance the first issue. So it's always been engraved in me and my brother. I actually collaborate with all my small businesses with my brother, which is nice to have someone that you can trust and you can work with. There's always been like the art and then like something else where it challenges me, and then I feel like it comes full circle, and what you learn in a different trade can always go back to the art and vice versa. As a painter, you're constantly thinking outside of the box, thinking differently, painting in solitude, and with that you gain a lot of things that people in the business world don't necessarily always get. And I feel that it's benefited me in ways that I didn't really imagine in the beginning. So
that's amazing. What are some things about being an artist that you think has really helped you escalate your business?
The fact that it's really, really difficult to make money in painting and in art. It's just really difficult. You could be really good, and there's always going to be times where it's just really difficult. And with those difficult times, and you know, every time I do a show, I just feel fortunate to have the show. And if stuff doesn't sell, it's like, it's okay, because you still went through this challenge and this mission to have an objective, and you don't always expect like a monetary thing in return. So with that, when you go into something like selling coffee or anything else, it's a lot easier because you're doing something that not everyone needs a painting, but people do want coffee. You know, the majority of people want coffee. So it's almost like doing painting is the most vigorous thing, and then you're doing something that's a little bit more common, and then you're going to go at it in a way where other people don't even think about. That makes sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. So you basically use the challenge of making art, and you are familiar with rejection and being in uncomfortable situations.
Absolutely.
And that has helped you kind of push through in your business, because tough times are inevitable, right? Whether it's in art or in business. What are some other things that you've done to kind of get through these challenges?
Just perseverance, faith, friendships, always reevaluating what you're doing. There's a lot of different factors that go back into it. And it's just, you always have to go back to what is your goal, and you just keep doing it. And also not taking yourself too seriously. I think that's a huge thing. I mean, have fun. That's like the biggest part. Have fun. Always challenge yourself. Never think you're too good. And I think that's where the beauty lies, and that's where magical things can happen and beneficial things for everybody involved. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
So setting goals is a very important aspect of not only your business life, but just making art in general. Yeah,
I mean, art, I come at it differently. Art, I just see it as it's something more personal. So there's different seasons in art for me. Mm-hmm. There's different directions of where I want to go, the things I want to paint for the things I'm feeling. I'm not thinking about a market. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm thinking about the things that I want to paint that mean a lot to me. And then that's what I work on. And I feel like, obviously, if I do that, sometimes it's not going to be very popular. It's not going to sell, or it's not going to be what is the flavor of the day. So that's why I've always had to rely on other avenues, so that way I can always do what I want and always be 100% honest with myself, which I think is really important as a creative person. Just always being authentic to the season of where you're at as an artist. Focus on that, and don't feel that you have to do something because of the art market or what's popular right now or anything like that.
Definitely. So you try to be as authentic as possible when you're creating, so that you kind of don't lose touch. Yeah,
there's trends in art, and I think when it comes to art, I don't believe in trends as far as like monetary. For art should always be something that is pure and from a place in your heart. And I've always felt that way. And to me, that's like the most important thing. And doing other things like the coffee gives me ability to always do what I want to do as a painter, mm-hmm. and not feel pressured by anybody or feeling like I have to tote the line with any type of collector or anybody. Mm-hmm. And then you learn through it that no matter what you do, you'll always find people that will appreciate that. So, should never have any type of fear of someone like not approving of what you're doing as an artist. Like, this is what you should do. You're always going to find someone that does like it. And I think that comes with authenticity and just make the work.
Definitely. There's actually a lot of artists out there that they wish that they could be in their studio all day, painting and making money from their work. For you as a business owner, as an artist, how do you usually balance those things out so that you're able to market yourself as an artist and you're able to market your business?
Time management, and it's not easy. I'm still learning. It's a lot of time management and figuring out, okay, I'm going to dedicate this amount of time to this, and then I'm going to go to my studio. A lot of artists are college professors, so mm-hmm. they're not in the studio all day. A lot of artists have other things, whether it's education or design, art, what is it called? Art, like the shipping of art. Like a lot mm-hmm. of artists are involved in like creating of artwork and hanging art, in people's collections. So there's always some type of work that you do. So there's always, you have to have some type of time management. And that's really that's like a big part of it.
Do you think it's realistic for a lot of artists to kind of have that desire of just wanting to be making art all day without really?
Yeah, I think, I think that's like, that you have to have that fire in you to, mm-hmm. to do that. And I think it's really important. But I think to come at it from like, I'm always going to make money, and it ebbs and flows. So it's good to do that, and then sometimes you're going to hit a wall, and there's just always a learning process. And I think if people are open to the learning process and have perseverance and they believe in the work they're doing and they want it in their lives, they want to constantly produce work. Yeah, it's everyone's different. Every process is different.
For sure.
It's yeah, I mean, I think it's good.
I personally believe that in order to really be a successful artist, you have to have multiple streams of income. Because like you said, it's very difficult when sometimes you hit a wall with your art, you kind of want to have something else to fall back on. Is that something that you believe in also?
No, I don't. I mean, I do. I've gotten into other businesses just because I have a twitch to do that. But if I didn't have a twitch to do that, I would just be painting. Like, it's just that I have this other thing. Maybe it was from being around my grandfather when I was a kid. He would take me out. He was a butcher, and he was always his own boss. So I would be with him, and I would see how he would interact and how, he was with people and how people loved him, and they would buy meat from like different type of meats from him and cheeses. So being around that, I think it just rubbed off on me. And he used to have a supermarket with the family, so I always used to see a lot of Hispanic products, and those things are just natural because I was around it. I've never had like a backup plan, I just do what I want to do it when I want to do it, and sometimes it's not very successful. Other times it's cool, and you learn from it, and you keep growing, and yeah.
It's all about trial and error, right?
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
So, but in addition to you having your successful coffee business and everything else that you've done, you're still a very successful artist. What are some ways that you have gotten collectors, or you've been able to gather partnerships, or just shows in general? Because I feel like that's something that, especially at the beginning of an artist's career, that's very difficult to kind of figure out and get yourself out there.
Well, as far as like what you said, like with success, like I don't see myself as like a successful artist. I just see myself as someone on the path to different goals, and making sure hopefully that I achieve them as I go along. So I've been successful in the sense of I'm fortunate that I have the ability to do things and grow from them, but it's always like a journey. I was fresh out of college, and I was approaching a lot of galleries thinking like that's what you have to do, and obviously I got rejected over, and a lot of doors slammed in my face, and I didn't understand it, and I didn't realize that there's a lot of politics behind it. You have to know people, you have to, almost like if you want to be in a gallery, you have to be with the gallery from the beginning, and there's a lot of different ways it works. So I reached out to a nightclub promoter, and I asked him if I could paint at a party. And he was like, well, actually, we'll do a test run. If you do well, we'll hire you every week. And I used to paint at nightclubs for 2 years, before Wynwood Walls, before it wasn't really popular when I did it. And I got paid for 2 years doing a lot of events, a lot of conferences in colleges, like in Chicago and New Jersey at Princeton University. I did a lot of different events where they would have music and I would paint. And that was cool because it took care of bills and things like that. But I realized that wasn't my love. So I was making money, but it wasn't. I started being too identified as like an artist at paints at parties. So I backed away from that a little too fast, because then I almost was poverty stricken right after that, because I just like turned it away. People were calling me and saying like, look, we want you to do a party. We'll pay you X amount of dollars. And I was just like, no. And I would say no, and when I really probably should have taken it. So from there, but through all of that, I met a lot of collectors along the way, and I actually created a lot of relationships and things like that. And it's to find collectors is pretty much just becoming friends with people, and that sometimes they have great collections, sometimes they have very small collections. And I always believe in you can always help create a collector. So you have a really good friend that has money, wants to buy art, and then they're friends with you and they love your work, and then they buy a few works, and before you know it, they want something from a friend of mine, and then they become collectors, more or less.
what made you want to contact a nightclub promoter? Because that's such an interesting niche to go into, especially as an artist.
Well, because it's Miami, so it's like Miami it's still nightlife, but at the time it was like nightlife, you know? And I did a few parties prior, like just different events, like at jazz clubs and stuff. And then I just saw it, like I just reached out. I think I reached out for like a New Year's party because I knew they would have more of a budget. So I was like, okay, they will like pay me. But it turned out that they wanted to actually work with me. And I did that. And from that, sometimes I'd be painting and people would come up and want to buy the painting right there. You know, and they'll pay cash, and then I would make like double of what I made that night, and then that goes back into like buying more paint and, you know, doing whatever I need to do. I bought my first truck from like things like that, which I still have the truck. And that's the thing, like it's not, I'm not like buying new sneakers and stuff. It's like whatever you make, you kind of put it back into what you're doing.
Of course.
So obviously I didn't buy like a really nice car. I bought a pickup truck so that way I can transport artwork. I can do this. I can, you know, I transport products all the time. You know, it's whatever you do, it goes back into what you're doing and not, you know, eating at 5-star restaurants all the time, things like that. You gotta be a little bit, you gotta conserve what you're doing. Like the money you make, and if you make a certain amount of money, you go back and then you buy, you know, art materials, new brushes and things like that. So you always have, you know, you always have stuff.
Of course.
You know, you always have materials.
It's actually really interesting that you say that, because I know a lot of artists, even me at the beginning, have a lot of difficulty when it comes to marketing yourself, to budgeting. Just the numbers in general tend to be a little intimidating. How did you kind of conquer that fear of like knowing how to budget yourself, how to not overspend, and just being able to manage your money so that you have
well, I would say the hardest part with art is, you know, sometimes you make like a good sale, and then you don't see another great sale for like 6-7 months. That I always had an issue with that, because, you know, how are you supposed to manage that? So I've always discovered, maybe this ties into the coffee and all these other things, is where as long as I have a little bit of money coming in constantly, like just a little bit, I manage money a lot better. And I'm very careful. As long as I know it's coming in, if I know it's coming in, I know how to manage it. And it's just more instinctively. But I'm not perfect. I'm in no way, I would never give financial advice to anybody by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah.
Was that something that you kind of taught yourself? Did you have a mentor to kind of teach you a little bit about marketing?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error, and like going to the bookstores. I used to like go to the art section, you know, look at all the books, buy the books that I love, of all the artists I love, and then I would go to the business section and look through there and maybe take some books home. So I was always kind of like reading books on business and things like that, and also getting counsel from people that know more, and then talking to them. And you know, I was fortunate where I was always around like a lot of great artists, like some of the best out right now, and also being around just people that are in different fields and being able to learn from them. And then obviously starting your own businesses, you learn to humble yourself, because there's no one's going to do anything for you. So it's really about like you have to do everything. And then you know, you go to parts of Miami where it's just more of people that work, mm-hmm. and then you're around these people and you learn, like they get up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning to make pastries, or they, you know, work in a factory, and that's like, it's really, you gain a lot of respect for these people. A lot of them are immigrants and stuff, so, you know, I'm around it all the time. So I'm like, I go to art galleries and then I'm around, you know, factories and warehouses and products and all types of stuff. And it's just, it puts a really, really, really humbling perspective and keeps you in check.
Do you think being an artist to some extent is a lot like being an entrepreneur, in the sense that you have to manage a lot of things, you have to be very resourceful?
How you go about it, I mean, I never saw it as me being entrepreneur doing art. My whole thing was like, okay, I'm making a painting, I think it's pretty cool. I want to share it with people. Mm-hmm. So my whole idea is like sharing it with people, trying to do exhibitions or posting on social media. It's just, for me, it was always about sharing. How can I get better at sharing it? And that's kind of how it happened. So I never saw it as like, you know, being Peter or Max or anything like that. It's different. You know.
So it's safe to say that you at least always had that drive to put yourself out there. No matter what happened, you just wanted to show it to the world, and despite of the results, you're like, I want people to see my art, just like you want people to see your business now.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think it's changed over the years. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, if you're gonna do art, you have to, the whole point is to share it, right? And there's a big group of painters that, you know, I see on Instagram, and they're always sharing, and they give me words of encouragement, I give them words of encouragement, and like we support each other by like Instagram. It's interesting, or like social media. You know, I don't think people go as much to people's studios as back in the day. Now it's like everyone gets a glimpse through social media. So yeah.
That's great. So do you think that social media has kind of changed the dynamic of networking for artists?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's changed everything. A lot of artists, you know, build their careers off of social media. Yeah, it's a big part of it. Like I've had people that have liked my work for many, many years that have never seen it in person, just through, you know, over the years on social media. So yeah, it's really changed a lot for artists. It's helped out artists a lot, and it kind of like takes out the middleman in some ways. I think sometimes you do need that middle person, but if you don't have them, and it's nice to still be able to move forward and share your work with people. I think the fact that you can share all these images with people is really cool. I mean, I know some people don't agree with that. Like some of the older artists that I've seen don't agree with social media. Like it's intended to see paintings in person, which I totally agree. I've seen stuff on social media where I'll see it in person and I'm like, I don't like it, you know. But you know, they switch the colors around. But I think the fact that you have access to it is nice. You know, it's interesting.
Definitely. So can you tell us a little bit more about your coffee business and how you've transitioned from doing the whole art thing full time to starting this amazing coffee company and everything else that you're doing?
Yeah, we've been wanting to do the coffee for a while. I'm co-founder. Me and my brother started the coffee brand, and we knew we wanted to reach the Miami market first by having a high quality coffee. Miami's known more for like the cafecitos and stuff, but we wanted a higher grade coffee. And there's a lot of people in Miami that, you know, that are roasters. You have Panther Coffee. You have a lot of avenues that are appearing, that have been around, but we wanted something a little bit more for us, authentic to Miami. We were born and raised in Miami. We're Cuban Americans. So it's just something that we really wanted to do for a long time, and now we were able to do it. It's something we can share with people, and it's something that I don't feels very different than my painting career. I feel like it's all connected. You know, I'm a Miami guy, and the coffee's really good. It's named after my grandmother, Abuela Mommy. She's 93, and you know, it's an honor to her. And we came out with our medium dark roast, which is called Miami Twilight, which is symbolic of many things. Symbolic in the sense of like, it's a medium dark roast. So it's like a medium. So it's like before midnight, you know, and before nighttime. And also it's the twilight of the 50s and 60s, where Cubans just started coming to the US. So that was like the twilight of when everything changed in Miami. So for me, it has like a much deeper meaning than just the dark roast. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Our whole aesthetic is mid-century, but not that we're stuck in the past, but how can we grab architecture, car design, art, you know, design, and grab elements from mid-century and make it like future, like the future. So it's really about honoring the past, the good things of the past in design and aesthetics, and bringing it today and honoring like old Miami with like this new Miami that's ahead of us. loving neon signs. Neon signs, they don't, now everything's with LED lights, and neon signs aren't appreciated like the past. So we're making like a neon sign for like when we do displays for events. So it's really about grabbing things of the past, preserving them, and then making them brand new.
So in a way, this is almost...
That's more of the packaging. But.
This is almost like an art piece in a way, because it has such a significant story behind it. It's not only about the product or about the quality of the coffee, but just the significance that it has to you and all the people in Miami that will drink this coffee.
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, every time someone buys it to me, they will go like, "Oh, surprisingly, it was really good." I'm like, "Yeah, like, I mean, the coffee is amazing. It's a certified organic. It's great. I mean, we get a lot of good response from it. It's brand new. We're very, very small company, very, very grassroots. We do deliveries every week, and people just write to me on social media. We'll deliver it to you. It's very, very grassroots, door-to-door product, but we feel very confident about it, and it's exciting. And the art world has actually been very responsive and very supportive, which is like it's a beautiful, it's like a blessing, because you do something and you don't know how people are going to respond. And a lot of the art collectors are like, "Kiki, we're behind you 100%. A lot of the artists have been really cool. I have friends like all over the country, in LA and New York, that are like, "Oh, when do I get to try it?" And that's awesome. I think that's like to me is so rewarding that artists that I respect are like, they can get behind it. And that makes me feel like maybe someone else will come out with like their own kind of product, maybe their own juice or their own, line of hats or whatever,
That's amazing. So you're not only inspiring people in Miami, but you're inspiring artists.
I mean, I get inspired all the time, constantly, by other people. And, if this inspires anyone to do anything, I mean, why not?
That's amazing.
But like anything, it takes hard work, like anything,
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, and for my last question, because this has been amazing and I'm ready to try your coffee.
Oh. Awesome.
Based on your successful art career, now your successful business, what's some advice that you would give to young artists that are trying to make it in the art world and would one day want to start their own businesses, whether it's selling their art, selling t-shirts, or just starting a business that's completely outside of the art world?
Just do the art you believe in. Don't do something because you think it's trendy. Just do the art you firmly believe in, and be versatile. Don't be afraid of taking any type of risks. I mean, that's an obvious thing. If you're a serious artist, like, you're gonna take risks. But yeah, just be open to change. Sometimes it's just better to listen and observe and take things in, read, study, act on those things you read, and I think you'll have a lot of results. And just have a good attitude is probably number one. Like anything, I was a much more of a hothead when I was younger, and you learn, and by grace and by patience and by things you learn, that there's always a better way to do things. And yeah, I mean, that's my advice. Just do art, love it, let it consume your life, but also look outside of that and see what else is out there. The world is a big place, and everything is not in a gallery. So.
Well, thank you so much, Kiki, for sharing your story,
No problem.
telling us about your business, and just for having us here in this amazing studio.
Try this coffee. Abuela Mommy, medium dark roast. It's the best coffee ever. You can have it as a latte, as an espresso. You want it, you got it.
Hey, I just wanted to say that it was super inspiring talking to Kiki. And if you want to see all the cool things that he does, make sure to follow him on Instagram and follow his company, Abuela Mami. While you're on Instagram, make sure to follow me to see behind the scenes of upcoming videos and all kinds of things relating to art and business. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you have any cool ideas that could help other artists. Thanks for watching!